Hello, my name is Nan Wilson, and this is my submission for interactive activity number 3 in the Race, Class, and Justice course. So, first of all, this module for me was about how bias, racism, and negative um race images affect really every aspect of human life, not just in this country and Western civilization, but just all aspects. Um, and particularly, I noticed my own life. One of the early content sources in this module showed a Chun King commercial. And Chun King is let's just say it's a carb, a packaged carb that used to be really popular when I was a kid. Great example of an Asian stereotype selling food that isn't even Asian. And I remember loving and eating Chun King and my mom announcing in the morning that we were having Chinese food for dinner. Went even further. When me and my brothers were coming to the table, we would start talking in our version of Asian accents. Go even further. I was still play imitating Asian accents well into my 30s until my son, when he was about 9 or 10, just got on my case about mom. He didn't say the word inappropriate, but that's what I got. And I recognized just what a bias and negative stereotype I had and I'd been using and teaching to my kids. So that's just an example in my personal life. Of course, the readings and the videos gave us way far ranging examples. And before I get into actually synthesizing some of what I got out of that, I really want to point out that I got a lot also out of looking at words that were used either in the content or by you, Professor Thomas. For example, in the in the prompt for this assignment, you said, "How do you see me? Implicit bias, institutional racism, and sedimented negative imagery can have a profound and subliminal effect on individuals, communities, et, etic, and emic social groups." First of all, I was stopped by the sedimented negative imagery. And I know that some of my colleagues reframed that sedimented word and changed it to stereotyped. But I just kept thinking about how interesting it is to think of a concept of imagery being sedimented. And of course, I went down the dive looking up sediment. Sediment, matter that settles to the bottom of a liquid, material that is deposited by water, wind, or glaciers. And I just felt like stereotypes, negative imagery, racism is all a form of sediment in our psyches. Um, oh my God, etic and emic social groups. Etic and emic. I never heard these words. They are awesome. Etic. These words apply to looking at social groups, and I'll just read the definitions. Of relating to or involving analysis of cultural phenomenon from the perspective of one who does not participate in the culture being studied. That is etic, and I'm not sure that I'm saying it correctly. Phonetic, it comes from the word phonetic. Emic, which comes from the word phonemic, of or relating to or involving analysis of cultural phenomena from the perspective of one who participates in the culture being studied. Okay, having that distinction had me realize why, in some cases, I had very different perspectives about what we were studying or things that were said from some of my classmates. Because in some ways, because I'm Black and we were talking very much about African American culture, I was looking at things from the perspective of, from an emic perspective. That distinction is super useful and needs to be called out, I think. And well, yeah, it does. Another word, coon. Heard coon all my life. Never knew it came from raccoon. And I'm not going to go into the deep dive that I took on that. Um, Ultimately, I was steeped in profound and subliminal effect, a couple of words that you used, but the effect that it has on our lives. And I have a few kind of big takeaways for me. First of all, Professor, you had said that using a stereotype doesn't make people want to buy your product more. And I actually disagree. First of all, I worked in the industry. Well, I worked in an ad agency like for 4 years, and I worked in the music advertising industry for almost 30 years. Stereotypes for advertising creators is super effective. Inside those rooms, we are completely straight up about it. Is there a stereotype that we can use to make our mark hit home? Stereotypes are still used in advertising. They're used in the proliferation of seeing women in the kitchen. They're used when you see the Latinx people in a commercial. There's often kind of like a fiesta party vibe. Stereotypes are all over our advertising, and it is effective. And it is just one way, in addition to the restaurants that we looked at, that racism has been commodified. And I don't remember. I went back to all of the sources to find out where I got that term commodification of racism because I know I didn't come up with it. But it's another thing that I've been thinking about. Like, racism is not just something philosophical or something that is an aspect of our society. It is literally a way to make money. Slavery. Um, Super struck by noticing the institutional racism everywhere. One example, I am on the board of our local food bank, and we're a tiny community, 10,000 people. We recently realized that by numbers, 15% of our community is using food bank. More than half of that 15%, we don't have exact numbers, are Latinx. We were having strategic planning this meeting this week, and one of our goals has been, I guess, for like last 3 years. I just came on the board in the last year, was to operate the organization as an anti-racist organization, and there's been no progress made on that except for getting me on the board. It's a board of 8 people, and I'm the first person of color they've had in like 10 years. And the board, people were talking about, why haven't we made progress? It's a priority. Look at the people we serve. Um, and I just sat and listened for a moment, and I finally said, "You guys stop. This is what institutional racism looks like." And I swear to God, if I weren't in this course, it wouldn't have been so abundantly clear. Also, I may not have been so brave to just stop the action and say that. And so I'm really grateful for this course and for this program that my studying is leading me to take different actions, even if it's just saying something like this. Another thing that I was able to point to in this meeting is, okay, here's another way that it shows up. We have people asking for vegetable cooking oil and masa every single week, and we have it sometimes. We always have it back in the storage, but we don't regularly put it out. Why is that? Well, it's not a common thing. Nobody cooks with cooking oil. Nobody uses masa is a cultural product. And I'm like, you guys, more than half of our customers are Latinx, and people are asking for this every week. This is institutional racism. And this is a stereotyping. So, finally, there's a question about how do we erase food stereotypes? I don't know that we erase food stereotypes. I don't know if we erase stereotypes as part of the construction of human thinking because it is, I'm pretty sure, baked into the way we think to generalize. And I think stereotypes is part of that. Um, and in fact, I've been thinking that it's not so much about erasing the stereotypes as becoming cognizant and aware and making sure that we take action to not let those stereotypes destroy us, either as a culture, as an individual, or as in our existence on this planet. Okay, I think I've said enough here. Thank you.